Admiral Vathor's secondary heart stopped beating when the quantum feed materialized above his command console. His primary heart maintained its steady rhythm, a testament to decades of military discipline. The message from Earth wasn't transmitted through standard subspace channels. It appeared directly in the secure bridge of his flagship, bypassing every defense system the Kraxan Empire had developed over 3 millennia of warfare. "Impossible," his tactical officer whispered, mandibles clacking in agitation. Vathor's scaled fingers traced the floating text, finding no projection source. The humans had somehow quantum-etched their message directly into local space-time. In his 40 cycles of military service, he'd never seen anything like it. The message was brief. "Your ultimatum is acknowledged. You have 5 standard hours to withdraw all forces from contested space. This time frame is non-negotiable." Vathor's throat sac expanded with bitter amusement. "They think they can dictate terms to us. The Kraxan Empire holds dominion over 8,000 star systems." "Admiral," his science officer interrupted, "I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations throughout the fleet. They appear to be scanning us." Vathor dismissed the concern with a flick of his ceremonial head crest. The humans were a young species, barely spacefaring. Yes, they'd managed to stay neutral in the millennia-long war between the Kraxan Empire and the Nexus Collective. Yes, they'd developed some impressive technological innovations, but they were still primitive compared to the ancient powers. "Send the response I prepared earlier," Vathor commanded. "If Earth won't choose a side in this conflict, they'll be treated as hostile territory." His communications officer hesitated. "Sir, the quantum fluctuations are intensifying. They're somehow mapping our entire command structure." Vathor rose from his command throne, his massive frame towering over the bridge crew. "The humans have had 3 centuries to choose between joining us or the Collective. Their neutrality ends today. Launch the..." The quantum feed crackled again. A new message appeared. 4 hours, 58 minutes remaining. Please ensure your surrender protocols are updated and ready for transmission. Vathor's primary heart finally skipped a beat. Not from fear, from rage. How dare these upstart humans treat the mighty Kraxan Empire like children? His people had mastered faster-than-light travel when humans were still hunting with pointed sticks. "Launch the first wave," he snarled. "Show them what real power looks like." "Sir?" His tactical officer's scales had paled to a sickly green. "Something's wrong. The targeting computers, they're not responding. None of them, across the entire fleet." Vathor's throat sac deflated. "Impossible. Run a diagnostic." "I can't, sir. The systems are operating perfectly, but they can't acquire any targets. It's like our weapons don't exist anymore." The quantum feed pulsed one more time. 4 hours, 55 minutes. We recommend using this time to draft your formal surrender. The terms will be surprisingly generous. Vathor sank back into his command throne. For the first time in his long military career, both hearts pounded with the same emotion: fear. The humans hadn't been staying neutral. They'd been preparing. And Vathor had just discovered exactly what for. Admiral James Harrison stood at the reinforced viewport of Quantum Command, watching Earth's final sunrise before engagement. The massive underground facility, buried 2 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, hummed with the energy of 1,000 quantum cores. Each one represented a technological leap that had taken humanity 3 centuries to perfect while pretending to be primitive. "Status report," he said, not turning from the view. The amber light painted long shadows across his weathered face, highlighting the scars from his days as a test pilot. "All quantum nodes are synchronized, sir," Colonel Derek Walsh responded from his station, fine-tuning the most sophisticated weapon system ever created. "The Craxon fleet won't know what hit him." Harrison allowed himself a small smile. "They already don't know what's hitting them. Final checks on the consciousness interface?" "Green across the board." Walsh's voice carried the confident precision of someone who had drilled this sequence thousands of times. "All operators are linked and ready. Neural handshakes are stable." 3 centuries of preparation had led to this moment. While the Craxon Empire and the Nexus Collective fought their endless war across the galaxy, humanity had been watching, learning, building something unprecedented. "Sir," Lieutenant Santos called out, his dark eyes fixed on the quantum feed. "Admiral Vathor's response just came through. As predicted, they're launching their first wave." Harrison nodded. "Right on schedule. Initiate Phase 1. The quantum cores pulsed in perfect synchronization. Through the neural interface, Harrison felt the massive quantum mesh deploying, an invisible web of altered space-time that would rewrite the rules of this war. "Status of the Nexus Collective Fleet?" Harrison asked. "Still holding position at the edge of the Arcturus sector," Santos reported. "Their quantum signatures suggest they're preparing to exploit what they assume will be our conflict with the Craxon." Harrison's jaw tightened. The Collective wasn't any better than the Empire. They just hid their aggression behind prettier words. Both sides had been trying to force humanity to choose a side for centuries, each assuming Earth would eventually become just another pawn in their cosmic game. They hadn't noticed that humanity had been playing an entirely different game. "Sir?" Walsh interrupted. "We're detecting quantum fluctuations in the Craxon fleet's secondary systems. Their engineers are trying to work around our lockout." "Let them," Harrison said. "Time for Phase 2. The quantum mesh shifted, its programming executing with perfect precision. Harrison felt it through the neural link, the sensation of reality itself being altered at the quantum level. "Multiple Craxon vessels attempting emergency jumps," Santos reported, his voice tight with concentration. "The mesh is tracking all of them." Harrison watched the tactical display as dozens of Craxon ships tried to escape, their faster-than-light drives engaged, attempting to tear holes in space-time, only to find that space-time itself had been rewritten. They weren't going anywhere. "Message from Vathor incoming," Walsh announced. "Text only. He's demanding an explanation." "Send the standard response," Harrison ordered. 4 hours, 30 minutes remaining. The quantum mesh pulsed again, spreading further across contested space. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of technology that could be used for war was being systematically identified and neutralized, not through destruction, through something far more elegant. "Sir," Santos said, "we're detecting increased activity from the Collective Fleet. They're moving to attack the Craxon while they're vulnerable." Harrison allowed himself a cold smile. "Perfect. Initiate Phase 3. The quantum mesh expanded one final time, enveloping the Collective Fleet in the same network that had neutralized the Craxon. In an instant, 2 of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy found themselves completely impotent. "Multiple incoming transmissions," Walsh reported, his voice tight with suppressed excitement. "The Collective flagship is, sir, they're demanding to know how we've done this. Their weapons are as dead as the Craxons." Harrison finally turned from the viewport, surveying the command center. Dozens of the finest officers humanity had ever produced worked with quiet efficiency, executing a plan centuries in the making. No cheering, no celebration, just the steady implementation of humanity's response to 300 years of attempted manipulation. "Send the final message to both fleets," he ordered. "Make sure they understand exactly what's happening." Walsh nodded, transmitting the carefully prepared explanation. Both the Kraxan Empire and the Nexus Collective were about to learn that humanity hadn't spent the last 3 centuries developing better weapons. They'd developed something far more powerful: the ability to simply turn weapons off. The quantum mesh didn't destroy or disable. It rewrote the laws of physics within its influence. Weapons couldn't fire because, within the mesh, the very concept of weaponry had been edited out of local space-time. "Sir," Santos called out, "we're detecting quantum fluctuations from both fleets. They're trying to combine their technology, looking for a way to break the mesh." Harrison walked to the main tactical display, studying the patterns of desperate activity. "How long until they realize?" "Based on their current attempts," Walsh checked his readings, "maybe another hour before they understand that this isn't a weapon they can counter. It's a fundamental change to how reality works within the affected space." The quantum mesh was humanity's masterpiece, not a weapon, but a tool for enforcing peace. It doesn't matter how advanced their technology was or how many ships they brought to bear. Within the mesh, war itself could not exist. "Message from Earth Defense Command," Santos announced. "The quantum cores are operating at optimal efficiency. We can maintain the mesh indefinitely." Harrison nodded, satisfaction evident in his stance. "Send the final warning to both fleets. Make sure they understand that this isn't temporary." The message was simple. Your weapons will never work again. Not here, not anywhere we extend the mesh. You have 3 hours to face reality. Through the neural interface, Harrison felt the moment understanding began to dawn across both fleets. The growing realization that they weren't dealing with a new weapon or a clever tactical trick. They were facing something far more: the ability to simply say no to war itself. "Sir," Walsh reported, "we're detecting significant changes in both fleets' command structures. Multiple vessels are powering down weapon systems entirely." "They're starting to understand," Harrison said. "Humanity didn't stay neutral because we were weak. We stayed neutral because we were building something that would make the concept of warfare obsolete." The quantum mesh continued its silent operation, spreading further through space with each passing moment. 3 centuries of watching the Kraxan and the Collective fight their endless war had taught humanity an important lesson. The way to win wasn't to build better weapons, but to change the rules of the game. "New transmission from Vathor's flagship," Santos announced. "He's requesting a direct channel." Harrison straightened his uniform. "Put him through. Let's explain to the Admiral exactly how the next few hours are going to play out." The quantum feed materialized, showing Vathor's massive form. The alien commander's scales had dulled, a sign of stress in his species. Both his hearts were clearly pounding, visible through the movements of his throat sac. "How?" Vathor demanded. "How is this possible?" "Admiral," Harrison replied calmly, "humanity has spent 3 centuries watching your empire and the Collective fight over territory, resources, and ideology. We didn't choose a side because we were busy choosing something else: peace. Not through diplomacy, not through superior firepower, but through fundamental change." Vathor's mandibles clicked in agitation. "You can't maintain this. No power source could sustain such a field." We don't need to maintain it, Harrison explained. The mesh isn't a field or a weapon. It's a localized rewrite of quantum reality. Once established, it's self-sustaining. Your weapons will never work again, Admiral. Not unless we choose to let them. The Admiral Commander's secondary heart visibly stopped again. You're bluffing. No species could develop such technology without you noticing. Harrison allowed himself a small smile. That was rather the point, Admiral. Now, shall we discuss the terms of your surrender? You have, he checked the display, 2 hours and 45 minutes remaining. Through the quantum feed, Harris could see the exact moment when Vathor, supreme commander of the Kraxon Empire's military forces, realized that 3 centuries of dismissing humanity as primitive had been the greatest tactical error in his species' history. The war that had raged for millennia was about to end, not with a bang, but with the quiet hum of quantum cores rewriting the very fabric of reality. And humanity had only needed 5 hours to do it. The Nexus Collective's grand strategist, Lord Aximar, had never tasted defeat in his 4 centuries of military service. His crystalline body structure, normally pulsing with confident blue light, now flickered with angry red patterns as he processed the human's latest message. Unacceptable, he broadcast to his command staff, his thoughts carrying through the crystalline network that linked all collective vessels. 3 centuries of technological analysis showed them to be primitives, barely able to achieve stable, faster-than-light travel. His second, a younger crystal form named Beacon, pulsed with cautionary yellow. The data suggests otherwise, Lord Strategist. Our weapons are non-functional. The Kraxon fleet reports the same. Whatever the humans have done, it violates our understanding of physics. Aximar's surface facets rippled with frustration. The Collective's quantum scientists had spent the last 2 hours trying to understand how their weapons had simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed or disabled. The quantum-based scanning systems showed that the weapons were still there, but somehow irrelevant, as if the very concept of their function had ceased to be, as if the fact that they were weapons somehow prevented them from functioning, as if the metaphysical concept of weaponry could not exist. New transmission from Earth Command, Beacon announced, his crystalline surface displaying the message in geometric patterns. 2 hours remaining until mandatory surrender. Aximar's form pulsed with deep, crimson rage. The Collective had spent millennia perfecting their technology, ascending from crude organic forms to become beings of living crystal. Their weapons were expressions of pure mathematical perfection. The idea that some upstart organic species could simply turn them off was incomprehensible. Connect me with the Kraxon flagship, he ordered. If we combine our technological understanding, perhaps— Sir, Beacon interrupted, his yellow pulse shifting to urgent orange. Detecting massive quantum fluctuations from Earth, they're expanding the effect. Through the crystalline network, Aximar felt it happen. The strange field, the humans called it a quantum mesh, spread further through space. Where before it had only affected their weapons, now it began interfacing with their propulsion systems. Impossible, Aximar broadcast. Our drives are based on pure mathematical principles. They can't just— His transmission cut off as every faster-than-light drive in both fleets simultaneously redefined itself as non-functional. Not broken, not disabled, simply irrelevant within the new physics the humans had created. Aboard Earth's quantum command, Admiral Harrison watched the process with quiet satisfaction. Status of Phase 4? Colonel Walsh checked his quantum feeds. The mesh is stable, sir. Both fleets are now fully contained. No weapons, no FTL capability, no chance of escape. Harrison nodded, studying the tactical display. The combined might of two ancient civilizations, over 10,000 ships carrying the most advanced technology in known space, had been reduced to floating metal shells in just under 3 hours. Sir, Lieutenant Santos called out. Incoming transmission from the collective flagship. Lord Strategist Aximar is requesting a conference with both you and Admiral Vathor. Harrison straightened his uniform. Put them both through. Let's explain to them exactly what happens next. The quantum feed materialized, showing both alien commanders. Vathor's scales had dulled even further, while Aximar's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained fury. This is an act of war, Aximar began, his thoughts translated into audio. The collective will not know, Harrison interrupted calmly. This is an act of peace. Your weapons are gone. Your faster-than-light drives are gone. The quantum mesh has rewritten local physics to make warfare impossible within its influence. And in, he checked the display, 1 hour and 45 minutes, we will begin expanding the mesh to cover your entire territories. Vathor's throat sac deflated completely, reiterating in desperation. The energy requirements alone would be impossible using your understanding of physics, Harrison finished for him. But we haven't spent the last 3 centuries building better weapons. We've been fundamentally rewriting how reality works. Aximar's crystal structure vibrated with disbelief. Your species were primitives. We monitored your development. Your quantum technology was basic. We showed you exactly what we wanted you to see, Harrison explained. Every demonstration of primitive technology was carefully calculated. Every apparent limitation was precisely engineered. We needed you to dismiss us as harmless while we perfected the mesh. Through the quantum feed, both alien commanders watched as more displays appeared, showing the true extent of human technological advancement. The quantum mesh wasn't a weapon or a shield, it was a rewrite of space-time, spreading like a virus through reality itself. You still haven't explained how this is possible, Vathor growled, his military discipline finally cracking. Harrison smiled. Because you're still thinking like warriors. Both of your civilizations spent millennia advancing your technology, but always in service of warfare. Better weapons, better shields, better ways to kill each other. Humanity took a different approach. We asked ourselves, what if we could simply make warfare impossible? Aximar's crystal structure pulsed with sudden understanding. The mesh doesn't destroy our weapons. It rewrites probability itself within its influence, makes it impossible for weapons to function because it changes how cause and effect work. Precisely, Harrison nodded. Within the mesh, the very concept of warfare has been edited out of local physics. Your weapons still exist, but the universal constants that allow them to function have been adjusted. Vathor's secondary heart had stopped completely. The lack of blood flow was clearly taxing his memory. And you can maintain this effect? Maintain it? Harrison allowed himself a small laugh. Again, Admiral, once established, the mesh is self-sustaining. It's not a field or a force. It's a new version of reality that spreads and reinforces itself. The only way to stop it would be to fundamentally alter how quantum physics works, and since your weapons and drives rely on the current laws of physics, we can't counter it without undoing everything our technology is based on. Aximar finished, his crystal structure dimming to a defeated gray. Harrison watched as both alien commanders processed the full implications. Their civilizations had spent millennia locked in warfare, advancing their technology to ever greater heights of destructive potential, and humanity had just rendered all of it obsolete not through superior firepower, but by simply changing the rules. 1 hour remaining, Harrison announced. In that time, you have a choice to make. You can accept the new reality we've created, one where your weapons and warships are precisely as useful as we allow them to be, or you can watch as we expand the mesh to cover every system, every planet, every corner of space your empires control. You would cripple our civilizations, Vathor demanded. No, Harrison corrected. We're offering you something neither of your species has experienced in millennia. Actual peace. Not enforced through mutual destruction, but through the simple impossibility of warfare itself. Through the quantum feed, both alien commanders watched as more displays appeared, showing the true scope of what humanity had created. All things that were considered weapons simply stopped working, while somehow still preserving all other essential principles. Fuel still burned to produce power, but if that power was put into a laser with an output high enough to cause damage, it simply didn't work. Lasers could no longer be that powerful. Bullets could no longer be aerodynamic enough to maintain lethal speed, but airplanes could still fly, as long as they weren't carrying any form of weaponry. It defied conventional understanding. The idea that a metaphysical concept of what something is could alter the properties of an object was incomprehensible. 45 minutes, Harrison reminded them. The choice is yours. Aximar's crystal structure pulsed with a new color, one that indicated deep thought. And if we refuse? Then we expand the mesh anyway. Harrison shrugged moments before cutting the feed. The only choice you're really making is whether you want to be remembered as the leaders who finally brought peace to your people, or the ones who forced us to do it for you. In Quantum Command's control center, Walsh and Santos exchanged glances. 3 centuries of preparation, of carefully maintaining the illusion of human technological inferiority had led to this moment. The quantum mesh represented humanity's real achievement, not the ability to win a war, but the power to make war itself impossible. Sir, Santos reported. We're detecting changes in both fleet's command structures. Multiple ships are powering down completely. They're surrendering. Harrison nodded, satisfaction evident in his bearing. Send the final message to both commanders. Make sure they understand that this isn't temporary. The universe they knew, the one where problems could be solved through warfare, ended the moment humanity decided to end it. The quantum feed pulsed one final time as Harrison delivered humanity's ultimate message. Your war is over. Not because we defeated you, but because we've created a reality where warfare itself is impossible. Welcome to peace. Through the neural interface, Harrison felt the moment where both ancient civilizations finally accepted their new reality. The war that had raged for millennia was ending not with a grand battle, but with the quiet acceptance that humanity had changed the rules of existence itself. Dr. Marcus Reed's hands trembled as he made the final adjustments to the quantum core's containment field. Not from fear, from the weight of 3 centuries of preparation finally reaching its conclusion. The massive underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains thrummed with the combined power of 1,000 quantum cores, each one a testament to humanity's true technological capabilities. Core synchronization at optimal levels, he reported, his voice steady despite his shaking hands. The mesh is stable across all monitored sectors. Admiral Harrison nodded from his position at the command center. Status of the expansion protocols? Ready for final implementation, sir. Once initiated, the mesh will expand geometrically. Total coverage of both the Kraxan and collective territories will be complete within 15 minutes. Through the neural interface, Harrison felt the quantum mesh pulsing with potential. It wasn't just a weapon nullifier anymore. It was about to become the foundation of a new era in galactic history. "Sir," Santos called out. "Final transmissions from both fleet commanders. They're accepting our terms." Harrison allowed himself a small smile. "Put them through, one last time." The quantum feed materialized, showing both Vathor and Aximar. The cracks in Admiral's scales had taken on a peculiar iridescence, a sign of profound psychological change in his species. The collective's crystal lord now pulsed with a deep blue that indicated acceptance. "Your terms are unprecedented," Vathor began, his voice carrying none of its earlier rage. "Total disarmament, supervised reconstruction of both our civilizations, the permanent establishment of this quantum mesh throughout our territories." "Not just disarmament," Harrison corrected. "Evolution. The mesh doesn't just prevent warfare, it opens up entirely new possibilities for technological advancement. You've both spent millennia thinking inside the box of what physics allowed. We're offering you a chance to help us change the box." Aximar's crystalline surface rippled with curiosity. "The mesh, it's not just changing local physics to prevent weapons from functioning, is it? The mathematical patterns suggest it's a framework for fundamental reality modification," Dr. Reed interrupted, stepping into view. "The weapons nullification was just proof of concept. Within the mesh, we can selectively alter how quantum mechanics operates, create new possibilities for energy generation, faster than light travel, even consciousness transfer," Aximar finished, his crystal structure pulsing with sudden understanding. "That's how you developed this technology so quickly. You've been using the mesh to accelerate your own evolution." Harrison nodded. "For 3 centuries, we've been carefully maintaining the illusion of technological inferiority while using the mesh to advance our understanding of reality itself. Every primitive demonstration was calculated to keep you focused on your war while we perfected our control over the fundamental forces of the universe." Vathor's throat sac expanded slightly, a sign of dawning comprehension in his species. "The mesh doesn't just end our war. It makes our entire approach to technological advancement obsolete." "Precisely," Harrison confirmed. "You've both spent millennia advancing your technology, but always within the constraints of conventional physics. We did not deign to limit ourselves so." Through the quantum feed, both alien commanders watched as new displays materialized, showing the true scope of what humanity had created. It was a framework for conscious reality manipulation on a quantum level. "Final countdown initiated," Dr. Reed announced. "Mesh expansion begins in 5 minutes." Aximar's crystal structure pulsed with an entirely new color, one that indicated a profound paradigm shift. "You're offering us a chance to join you in this reality engineering." "Under supervision," Harrison nodded. "The mesh will prevent any hostile applications of the technology, but yes, we're offering both your civilizations the opportunity to help us explore what's possible when you stop trying to kill each other." Vathor's scales shifted to a deep bronze, a color Harrison's xenobiology training identified as indicating philosophical acceptance. 3 centuries. You watched us fight for 3 centuries while building this," Harrison finished. "Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't our technology. It was our ability to ask different questions. Instead of asking, 'How do we win the war?' we asked, 'How do we end war?' And then we spent 3 centuries answering that question." "Mesh expansion in 1 minute," Dr. Reed reported. "All cores synchronized. Reality modification protocols standing by. Through the neural interface, Harrison felt the quantum mesh preparing for its final deployment. Soon, it would cover every system, every planet, every corner of space controlled by both ancient civilizations. "Sir," Santos called out, "we're detecting quantum fluctuations throughout both fleets. They're adapting their technology to work with the mesh rather than against it." Harrison nodded in satisfaction. Both civilizations had spent millennia advancing their technology in service of warfare. Now they were about to discover what was possible when that same innovative drive was applied to something more profound, the conscious engineering of reality itself. "Mesh expansion commencing," Dr. Reed announced. "Total coverage in 10 seconds. Through the quantum feed, both alien commanders watched as their sensors detected the mesh's geometric expansion. It spread like a wave of new physics, rewriting the fundamental rules of reality as it went. Where it passed, warfare became impossible, but new possibilities emerged. 5 seconds, Reed counted down. 4, 3, 2, 1. The quantum cores pulsed in perfect synchronization. Throughout conquered space, reality itself shifted. Weapons didn't just stop working, they became obsolete concepts, replaced by new possibilities that neither the Kraxon Empire nor the Nexus Collective had imagined possible. "Expansion complete," Reed reported. "The mesh is stable and self-sustaining across all territories. New physics protocols are... Sir, they're evolving faster than predicted. Both civilizations are already beginning to adapt their technology to work within the new framework." Harrison smiled. This was humanity's true victory. Not the defeat of ancient empires, but the fundamental transformation of how they approached existence itself. "Send the final transmission," he ordered. "Make sure every ship, every planet, every corner of both civilizations understands what happens next." The quantum feed pulsed one last time as humanity delivered its final message. The war is over. But this isn't just an ending. It's a beginning. Welcome to the next stage of galactic evolution. In Quantum Command's control center, the assembled staff watched as readouts showed both fleets beginning to explore their new capabilities. Where weapons had once been, new technologies were emerging. Tools for understanding and manipulating the very fabric of space-time itself. "Sir," Santos reported, his voice thick with emotion, "the Collective's crystal forms are already developing new configurations that work with the mesh instead of against it. And the Kraxon, they're adapting faster than our models predicted." Harrison nodded. "Of course they are. They're finally asking the right questions. Not how do we defeat our enemies, but how do we rewrite reality itself." Dr. Reed checked his final readings. "The mesh is fully stable, sir, self-sustaining and evolving. We've done it. We've actually done it." "Yes," Harrison agreed, watching as the tactical displays showed thousands of ships powering down their weapons and powering up new systems designed to work within the mesh. "We've given them something better than victory. We've given them imagination." The war that had raged for millennia was over, not through destruction or domination, but through the simple act of changing the rules. Humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing not to win a war, but to make warfare itself obsolete. And in the end, it had only taken 5 hours to change the galaxy forever.